Okay, so today is October 22nd, and I wanted to kind of just make some sort of a journal for myself, and I figured a video journal would be great. So I can look back and see my progress as I go. So 6 years ago, I started a raw vegan diet, and I stuck to that for an entire year, and a lot of ailments that I had went away. Oops, sorry, hold on, my dog wants in. I mean, I guess she wants out. Go, Donna, go. So I started that raw vegan diet, and I did it for an entire year, and the ailments that I had prior to that all started disappearing one by one. And those things were getting hot in here. Those things were which I didn't do the diet to correct those things. I didn't know that I could correct anything, but through the diet, they all started to disappear. And those things were diabetes. I didn't take medication or nothing, but my sugar was always high and low, and I had a lot of issues with that. And I used to prick my finger and take my reading and stuff like that, and I know that it was always, it wasn't super high like some people might be, but I mean, still, it was, it never was 200, but I think it was like, it was so long ago, I'd have to look back at my records, but it was like 145, 155, 175, like in that range. And then sometimes they would be 99, so it would be highs and lows all the time. And I felt it. I didn't feel good. But doctors did want to get me on metformin at one time, but I didn't want it. I didn't really believe in taking medication. So I said, no, I would try to control it with diet. And my doctor told me, well, diabetes is a progressive disease, and it'll only get worse as time goes on, and eventually you'll need medication. And I said, okay, well, I'll cross that bridge when I get there. So I left, and he told me too, he said, you don't eat fruit. He said, fruit is going to make your numbers go high, and so don't eat fruit. And I said, I thought I could maybe eat better, eat healthier, so fruit would be one of those things. And he said, well, if you do eat fruit, he said, literally only have like half a banana, half a banana at a time, because it'll make you sick. And don't have orange juice. And I knew that to be true about the orange juice when I was pregnant for my third child, my last child. Hold on, sorry. Come on. Zelda will be next, just so you know. One of our dogs is in. Tilly is in. Zelda is still outside, so she'll be asking to come in a minute. So I'm sorry, but I never get an uninterrupted time that I can talk to anybody. But anyway, so when I was pregnant for my daughter, I remember if I drank a little bit of orange juice, I would feel really, really sick. My sugar would rise. I think that's where I actually ended up developing diabetes. It stemmed from gestational diabetes. That's what I was diagnosed with at the time. And it just carried over even after the pregnancy. I never did get better with that. But anyway, so I knew the orange juice thing that the doctor was telling me was true, that I would feel sick after drinking orange juice. Anyways, I left the appointment, and I just decided, I'll do my best, and I'll exercise, and I'll do the things that I've heard would make me better. And literally, I really only could have like half a banana, because I would eat a whole banana anyway, but I would feel sick afterwards. I didn't feel good. So, I mean, he was right, but that's because I was on a standard American diet, what I've learned later. Because when you have so much fat, like fat foods like that you get from meat and dairy, stuff like that, then it clogs up all of your arteries, all your cells, all the things inside you. Whatever it is, I don't know, but it makes your insulin not work properly. But when you clean all that out, when you detox all of that out, and you have a clean body, you don't have trouble digesting sugars from fruit, for example. So when I went on that raw vegan diet 6 years ago, I was mostly fruit. We ate like 3 fruit smoothies every single day. I mean, big 32-ounce jars, mason jars. Drink that, I guess, every day. Eat lots of fruit on top of that. And I had salads. I would make like mushroom, like I called it an open face mushroom sandwich. I would put lettuce and tomato and onion sometimes on it, and I would make this cashew dressing type stuff to put on it, or sometimes I would have avocado on it, and I would eat that. So it was all raw foods though. And in the beginning, when I was eating the fruit and stuff, I did kind of feel my sugar, you know, just become a little bit worse there for a little bit. But once everything cleaned out, I never had, my sugar was always like lower, like 115. And it stayed within the 115. Maybe after I just ate something, it might be like 125 or 106, or, you know what I mean? It just stayed very level right there. It didn't get in the 140s and 50s, and it didn't crash down to the 99s and stuff either. 99 is supposed to be when you're fasting, and my sugar never really went below 100. So they I think that's even pre-diabetic was what they consider. But for me, I just felt like that was really normal. I felt good. I felt stable. I didn't feel like how I was feeling with diabetes. So, okay, hold on. Zelda wants in now. Okay, watch out, Tilly. Come on, Zelda. So that began to correct itself. Then, then I had, when I was 30 years old, my hips would hurt really bad. And I felt like I was in my 80s. You know, if you're sitting for a long period of time and you go to stand up like an elderly person, and you'd have to get up slowly and then stand there for a minute and kind of feel my hips out and balance myself and put weight on it and move my legs around to try to make my hips feel better. And then I would hobble, you know, trying to walk now. I noticed that was beginning to happen when I was in my 30s. I think I was 30 years old to be exact. And it just progressively got worse. It didn't seem to get any better, but that was the only ailment at that time when I was 30 that I had. But it hurt really bad, and I didn't know what was wrong, so I went to the doctor. They took an x-ray and to make sure everything was okay. The doctor, after different tests and things like that, the doctor ended up coming back to me and told me that he thinks I have rheumatoid arthritis, and that one day I will probably be in a wheelchair. And I was like, what? A wheelchair? Like, I don't want to be in no wheelchair. Anyways, nothing became of that. I didn't go back for more testing and or more appointments or nothing. I just thought, well, I guess I have rheumatoid arthritis, and that's just how it is. My body hurts. Well, as the years went on, that became worse, and more things started to hurt. Like my knees hurt really bad. My feet hurt really bad. My hands hurt. My elbows. I remember 2 different occasions that I reached my arm out straight to pick up a glass of water off the table. And when I picked up that glass, all of a sudden a pain shot me right through the wrist and hand, and I literally dropped the water and it spilled everywhere. And I was like, wow, like that hurt so bad. Even now, today, because I'm off of the raw vegan diet, but that raw, maybe I'm skipping around too much, I'm sorry, but when I began the raw food diet, all those pains went away. My hips didn't hurt no more. My knees didn't hurt. My feet, my hands, my lower back, none of that hurt anymore. And so it just went away. I had no more pain, and I kind of forgot about it. And then I started after that, being for a year clean like that, I started eating more junk and just introducing more stuff back to my diet. I stayed vegan. I didn't eat meat and dairy, but I did eat junk. I mean, like chips and just junk, you know, and or cooked food. And maybe it wasn't always the healthiest choice, but sometimes it was like home cooked, so at least it wasn't as bad as like out to eat food. But I would go eat out as well, and those ailments started to come back. My sugar started to be off balanced again. My pains and stuff started to come back again. And then going back to the diet, getting back on track, those pains would all go away again. Well, recently I have been off of my diet still, and all those pains have come back. And I would lay in bed. There's many nights that I was sitting there going, and just like massaging my hands, because my hands hurt really bad. And then when I would stand up in the night to go to the bathroom, because I drink all night long, which is annoying too. But I would get up to go to the bathroom, and my feet, I could hardly walk on them. I would hobble to the bathroom. I had so many different ailments. I I've had vertigo stuff that would happen at nighttime. I literally would like fall into the wall as if I was drunk or something. But whenever I would get back on track with the vegan diet and keep my diet very clean, it would all go away and I wouldn't have it again. But as soon as I start having crap again, like for a few days in a row, having junk food, those ailments all come back. So I know for 100% fact that the diet works, and I need to get back on that. And I'm proud to say that I am back on that. Today, for the past like 2 months or something, I have been mostly healthy with a lot of junk on top of it. So that don't work either. You have to keep your diet clean, most of the time, if not all of the time, if you want those things to go away. So I've definitely felt the pains. I've had my sugar issues going on, restless leg syndrome. So a couple other ailments though that I had that I didn't talk about yet was I also had, I think it was probably 14 or something years ago, I noticed a lump in my breast, and it was a big lump. It had like a wing on it, and then it was shaped long like this. And it was almost the size of my index finger. It came like to where your finger bends right here, the knuckle. It came just past the knuckle. So it was like this big in my breast with a wing on it. And it was scary. I was like, oh, when I found it. And then I remember going to a doctor about it. They felt it and they said that they wanted to biopsy it. And I said, well, what do you think it is? And they said, well, we'd have to biopsy to know for sure. And I said, well, then what do we do? And they said, well, then we would probably have surgery and we would remove it. You may have to go through like radiation and stuff like that. So, I don't know if she was just suspecting that it was cancer. It may or may not have been. It could have been benign. I don't know. I didn't go to any more appointments. It scared me half to death. And I was like, I'm not going to have surgery. I'm not going to have them cut something out of me. I'm not going to take medication or have radiation and stuff like that. I was just scared. I was like, no, I'm not doing it. So I just never went back. When I was for that 1 year raw diet, that lump almost disappeared fully. It got smaller and smaller and smaller, and then at the end of that year, it became like the size of a pea. And as I continued even beyond that, because like I said, I would be like a yo-yo diet. I would get strict with the diet, a diet again, and then I would fall off, and I would eat junk for months, and then I'd get back on, and then I'd eat junk for months. It would be like that. But I did stay high raw, like I still maintained that, but it continued to shrink. And now I can hardly find it. It feels like maybe a tiny bit of broke up tissue that's left in the breast, and it's hard to find. I have to really feel and keep and concentrate, and then I can find it. But so I know that the diet helped with that. The other ailment that I had experienced, and I have experienced this pretty much my whole life, but it has gotten worse as I've gotten older, but it's irregular menstruation. My periods have always been a mess. I would bleed heavy. I would bleed like for 10 days, 14 days. That was very common a while back. How annoying is that too? Like people, you don't want to have your period at all, let alone bleed for 14 days. That was just so inconvenient. And then it's like you have 2 weeks off and then you bleed again. And then 2 weeks off, and then you bleed again for 2 weeks. So it's like 2 weeks on, 2 weeks off, 2 weeks on, 2 weeks off, all the time. And sometimes even have breakthrough bleeding and stuff like that. It's just always been very irregular. I didn't really experience a whole lot of pain with it. Occasionally, sometimes I would have, like the typical PMS symptoms, but not usually. It was mostly just heavy bleeding. And I couldn't even just wear a regular tampon. I would have to use the super ones. I think they're called Ultra, as a matter of fact. And they're big and they hurt after a while because just pulling them out. And I know it sounds graphic and gross, sorry. But, after a while, putting them in and pulling them out, that was just, it would hurt. But as the years went on, it got to be where I literally bled for an entire year, whole year. I would stop like for a day or two here and there. And that's it. My period was just on the whole time. My husband, we didn't get to do anything, because I was on my period all the time, and I'm sure that wasn't good for our relationship, but somehow we still have stayed strong through it, and he's understood and been there for me as far as that goes. And so, I really appreciate that. I couldn't have asked for a better person in my life. I'm sure at times he was disappointed, and times that he needed his needs met and stuff, and I didn't. I wasn't able in that way, anyways. But so when I went for that year though on the raw food diet, my period issues were no more. I would have a period once a month like a normal person would, and it would be light. I could actually use either like a regular size tampon or a light tampon even, and it would last for like 3 or 4 days. That's it. And then I'd be off my period for the whole entire rest of the month until next month. So it was very normal during that year. And so I remember that. But then as I got off of that and I kept having my yo-yo diet stuff, all that menstrual stuff came back. And I mean, it's been very, very heavy. It's been embarrassingly heavy at times. Like you'd be heading to work and I just changed my tampon before I left the house, and I'm driving and all of a sudden I feel a gush. Now I've got to go back home. I've got to change my clothes, everything. I was just having such an issue, and this happened multiple times. There'd be times that maybe my husband and I and maybe a some family members were going out to eat. I'd be standing there and I think everything's fine, and all of a sudden I feel a gush. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I have to go to the bathroom right now. And then I'm like, I just have to go home, because you can't stay if you've went through your pants and everything else. It just progressively got very, very much worse. Currently today, so it's October 22nd, 2022, whenever Memorial Day was, which was, July, maybe June or July. I don't remember. I don't know. I'm sorry. I'm very bad with dates, but this is October. And Memorial Day was several months before October, obviously. I had started my period again, and I have not been off my period since. I did have a day or two that I would not have anything, and I'd be like, yay, it's finally ended. But then the next day it starts, or that night it starts. So I've been dealing with that. And the reason, and it hasn't been heavy though this time around. It hasn't been heavy, but the reason for that, I'm sure of, because I've had the experience of going on a raw vegan diet and it correcting itself, because I've had that experience, then I think it's because mostly I stayed true to that diet. But I would have, like maybe 4 times a week, I would go eat McDonald's. I would eat French fries, or I would go to Tim Hortons, and I stayed vegan. I would go get a sandwich. Like they have this really good bread. I don't remember what it's called, but and they would toast it, and then I would have lettuce and tomato and mayo on it. So mayo is not vegan, but I had that on there. But I was trying to stay healthier, but though all those attempts, I'm sure, and trying to stay, mostly with my raw vegan diet, those things helped, at least in the aspect of not making me have a heavy period. So, and I had to drop the coffee. You can't have coffee, or that will make me bleed instantly. Like I have a cup of coffee, and sure enough, like, I don't know, shortly after, I will all of a sudden be like, oh man, I just had a gush. So you can't have coffee. I can't have nothing, literally. Everything that I eat, everything that I drink, it makes me bleed. It keeps me bleeding. It's so frustrating, and I'm so over it. I'm so done. But at the same time, it's hard to get rid of those addictive foods. It's really hard. I mean, I want all the things that everybody else eats. I smell food too. It smells good. I want to eat it too, just like everybody else. You go as a family to Meckley's Farm or whatever, and they have like donuts and apple cider and stuff like that. I can't have apple cider. It still affects my sugar. It'll make me really sick if I have it. Donuts, I can only have one, or it will make me sick. So I will have one. I would normally have one. Whenever you go out to eat with family or friends or whatever, all the food that they eat. I mean, I would eat vegan, but I would have like a burrito maybe, or a taco with just beans and lettuce and tomato on it, something like that. But I would have all those things on occasion, but those things keep me bleeding. And also my hands have been hurting really bad. My feet have been hurting again. My hips, not so bad right now, but I've had all that stuff all coming back and hurting. And so today is day 5 that I've been on fruit only. I did have one little handful of nuts, but that's it. And my period had stopped for 3 days, and I was so happy. Today is day 5. It would have been 4 days with no period, but I went to the bathroom this morning, and sure enough, I started. So it's frustrating. Many times when this would happen in the past, when I was trying to get back on the diet and then the bleeding would stop for like 3 days, then it would start again, I would get frustrated and I would say, just forget it. This diet don't work. Nothing works. I'm just going to bleed the rest of my life. Give me that whatever, give me that burrito over there. I'll eat it. Or give me that donut, or give me that cup of coffee. I don't even care anymore. I'm going to have what I want because I'm mad and I'm sad and I'm frustrated. And why does this keep happening to me? And why can't I correct it? Why won't, people say menopause. It could be menopause, but I do strongly believe that we can control it with diet, because it's happened for me in the past. I might have like PCOS or, I was told actually that I had the beginning signs of endometriosis. So, it could be that, the heavy bleeding and stuff, but I know from experience that diet has corrected it. So I'm sure that if I just keep going, hopefully it'll stop again. And that's why I'm making this video though, because I want to be able to track better, and say for sure what has worked and what hasn't, because I'll get frustrated and I'll tell my husband how, nothing works and I'm just gonna, I give up, I'm done and stuff like that. And he says, no, it takes time. Remember in the beginning when you first started, it took time. And I was like, no, I don't remember that. I don't remember that. To me, I just remember that I was on the diet a year ago and what my period was at one point, which was like 3 or 4 days of a light period. So I don't really remember having the issues that I'm having right now. And he said, yeah, but you didn't budge from your diet. Like now I am yo-yoing. Now I'll be clean for 5 days and then I'll not be clean for the next, month or something. And so it's like a form of detox. And so like, I wonder, is bleeding altogether detox? And yes, it is, because we do that to shed all the toxins and things from our bodies as a woman so that we can prepare to have a baby in a clean environment. That's the whole reason of a menstrual cycle to begin with. So it is a form of detox. And then bleeding all the time is a form of detox. And if you keep eating the bad foods and you keep bleeding, and yes, you're detoxing, but you're not ever getting better because you keep eating the crap and putting the toxins in your body. So this is day 5, guys, and I'm going to get back on track and I'm going to keep going. I'm going to keep making these videos and see where I'm at. I want to know where I'm at on day 10, and I want to know where I'm at, on day 20. And whatever. I want to go back to that. You see this cough that I have? Actually, that just reminded me. I used to have, I thought it was just allergies, which it is allergies, but hold on, I'll tell you that in a second. But I used to have this years ago. I developed a cough, and I would have it mainly in the wintertime. So I associated it with like wintertime allergies, like maybe it's turning your heat on and stuff, and the furnace is running and the dust and the stuff that's coming through was causing an issue. Well, I own a cleaning company today, and it became where I cough year round now. I don't just cough in the wintertime. And I associated that with probably it's that I'm allergic to dust and stuff. And I mean, cleaning houses, you deal with a lot of dust. And so I would cough year round. I used to have coughing attacks though. Like today, that little bit of coughing that I've had on here is not nearly as bad as it has been. And that was when it was really bad. It was because my diet was really bad also. And since I've been cleaning my diet up, I don't hardly have the cough anymore. I do cough a few times, like you guys just seen that. And actually, when on day, I think it was 2 and 3. Yeah, day 2 and 3 of, just this recent time. Like I tell you, I'm on 5 days right now. Well, day 2 and 3, I woke up in the night. I didn't have no coughing like during the day other than that small amount that you guys just seen. But at night, I woke up with coughing attacks. I mean, just cough my head off, have to take a drink and everything else. I think it's just a form of detox and stuff's coming out. But I do know that when I correct my diet as well, that coughing also ends entirely. usually I can't even have a phone conversation. The phone will ring and I have to before I answer the phone, because I'll cough right in a mid word, not mid sentence, mid word. And so, and sometimes I have coughing attacks, and I would have to put people on hold. I'd have to say, I'm so sorry, hold on for just a minute, and put them on hold. I mean, how embarrassing is that? So coughing that's annoying too, but I do know that in the past that has corrected with diet, and I'm seeing improvement today even with my diet correcting. So I wanted to just make a note of that too. But okay, well, I just wanted to talk about this real quick, and I will come back, maybe in a few days and see how things are going at that point. I'm going to keep going. I'm going to try to stay strong. We're supposed to go out to eat tonight with my husband's mom and stepdad. So we're supposed to, I don't know where we're going for sure, but I mentioned let's go to a Mexican restaurant because I know I can get a good salad there. They usually have, guacamole and stuff like that, because I don't want to use dressings, anything bad. I'm still contemplating on if I'm going to have a salad at all. I've got grapes already ready for me in a baggie because I'm going to go prepared. I'm going to just take my little cooler with me. I'm just going to sit down. I'm going to have my fruit, and I might take I think I'm going to blend up a watermelon also and just take it in like a 32-ounce jar, and I'll have that to drink. And I'll have my grapes to munch on, which will help because I'm a sucker for the chips, not the cheese. I don't care about that, but the chips and salsa, I love that. So that's going to be hard to sit there while everybody else is munching on chips and salsa and stuff. But I've done it in the past when I was that year, when I took a whole year and I was like that. I was very strict. I used to bring a cooler with all my stuff. You have to plan ahead. You have to prepare yourself, and you have to know your weaknesses, and you have to say, hey, I know that I love the chips there, so I've got to bring something that I can munch on instead. So that's why I've got the grapes. Those are easy to just grab from your baggie or whatever and pop them in your mouth and eat them as everyone's eating, and you feel a little bit normal like everybody, but you're eating something that's better for you. So that's what my plan is today, guys. I'm not sure if I'll have the salad. I'll let you know about that if I remember to come back and record soon enough about what I had there. So, all right, talk to you guys later. Wish me luck, and I wish all of you the best of luck too. If I can do it, you can do it. So let's do it together. All right, talk to you soon. Bye.